and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news update show, talking about all the latest news and transfer news and Manchester United news going about. And guess what? Because Manchester United have lost the game, guess what's coming out? Yes, you've heard it, guys. Dressing room leaks. Dressing room leak FC is back. Leaks coming out, calling McTominay a teacher's pet, saying McTominay is only playing because he sucks up. Leaks coming out, but also positive news coming out about the big major changes Ten Hag's going to make at United. Ten Hag is laid down to the board. He's made it clear the players he wants sold. He's made it clear he doesn't want any new contracts to be given out without permission. He's made it clear of his new authority, and I want to get into the reports of what Ten Hag is doing behind the scenes. So please do smash that like button. Let's go for 300 likes by the end of the live stream, and I know you guys can do it if you keep hitting that like button. Subscribe if you're new, because I do go live every single evening on the channel, and I do videos during the day. I've got a really interesting video coming out tomorrow during the day about an insight behind the scenes of what's going on at Old Trafford. But I want to get into this story on your screen because I think this is a massive, massive story as well. But look, with this news about Maguire, leaking, not true. Maguire smiling on the bench was edited, in fairness to Maguire as well. Maguire was not smiling on the bench as well. And Mr. Miracle says Ten Hag will learn so much from this. Our team will be much better shape now as we move forward. I only see positives from our game against City. That's an interesting way of looking at it. I think the City game is a reality check for us. I think the City game is a big, big reality check for United. And do you know why the City game is a big, big reality check for Man United? Because it reminds us that there's still problems at this club. It reminds us we need to keep the pressure on the Glazers out protest. It reminds us that we're still miles far behind Man City. Don't let 4 wins distract us from the fact that we're still a long way off. It's still a long protest. Ten Hag still needs backing, and there's still a lot of Man United players that need to go because these players cannot be trusted. And I want to get into this brilliant report, guys. I want to get right into the news by James Ducker that Erik Ten Hag has told Manchester United hierarchy not to hand out any new contracts until he determines who warrants them. David De Gea, Marcus Rashford, Fred, Luke Shaw, Diego Dalot, and one more player that I'm definitely missing, Ronaldo. That's it. Those 6 players, and Marcus Rashford, did I say Rashford? Those 6 players have only got 1 year left on their contract. And as of January, those 6 players can then negotiate to leave United with 3. And the United board, you know what they're like. You've got Murta, you've got Arnold. Murta and Arnold are pushing Ten Hag, are trying to get Ten Hag to agree to give these new players a contract. Because they don't want to lose Dalot on a free, or Fred on a free, or Luke Shaw on a free, or Ronaldo on a free, or Rashford on a free, because they know that they won't get any money for them. And the board, what they did with Phil Jones was absolutely backfired. And what they did with Eric Bailly was they went and gave them a new contract, even though they weren't in the manager's plan. And Ollie was, such a pushover. Ollie was so happy to be in the Manchester United job that when the board came out and was like, should we give Phil Jones a new contract? Ollie said, I'm not playing them, but yeah, sure, as long as I keep the job. Ollie never played Bailly, never had any intention to use Bailly, but he let the board give Bailly a new contract because he'd let the board walk all over him. And the board only gave Bailly and Phil Jones new contracts, and you can understand why Bailly would get one in the sense that he should be playing more, but Bailly was never in the plan. Phil Jones was never in the plan, and the board gave them new contracts without the manager's permission. This is massive. I don't think a lot of people understand how massive this is. Ten Hag is making the board listen to him. Ten Hag has done 2 things that no manager has done post Sir Alex Ferguson. 2 massive, massive things. The first thing Ten Hag's done is he said to the United board, I want Anthony and only Anthony. Do not be getting me Dabar even though he's on a free. Do not be getting me this alternative. Anthony's who I want. If I can't get Anthony, I want no one. And the board, they didn't get Anthony. They thought they could get a cheaper alternative. They had to go and get Anthony for 100 million. Because Ten Hag made it clear to the board, they can't just buy anyone. When Ollie couldn't get his signings of Sancho, Bellingham and Grealish, he let the board get him Cavani, Telles, Palestri, Donny, Ahmad, who ultimately none of them are of use right now. But Ten Hag was like, no, I'm not doing that. I only want players that I'm going to play. I don't want players that I want or no one at all. And Ten Hag's now saying to the board, do not dare give out new contracts to any of these players. They need to deserve them. Ten Hag's driving 2 massive, massive major changes at United. He's saying, I want you to make sure you bring in the players and sell the players I want out. There's players Ten Hag wants out that he's working on the board to get rid of. David De Gea is wanted out. Ten Hag wants De Gea out. There's rumours that Ten Hag wants Donny van der Beek out, which we are going to get into in a second. Maguire's considering his future, as Samuel Lutka says. Ronaldo's potentially leaving. Ronaldo could leave in January. Fabrizio Romano did say this as well. So there's massive, massive news. So we're going to dive into all this news. But what do you guys make of this story about Ten Hag forcing players out? I think this is a massive story as well. And as Monaghan said, leaks United, leaks in defence, leaks in the changing room, leaks in the stadium roof, leaks in club finance, leaks everywhere. We are Leak FC, guys, honestly. Alice, this is perfect. What Erik Ten Hag did and said to the board, they must deserve their contracts. Exactly. Erik Ten Hag sat down and he said to the United board, do not be giving out contracts to Rashford, Dalot, just because they've played well for 4 or 5 games. They need to deserve these new contracts. I'm the United manager. I decide who gets the new contracts. And I'm going to tell you something now. You'll find it interesting. Erik Ten Hag did not want Bruno Fernandes to get that new contract. And Bruno Fernandes signed that new contract because he knew he might not be getting a new bumper contract under Ten Hag. Man United did that to Bruno's contract behind Ten Hag's back, even when they knew Ten Hag would be manager. And apparently Ten Hag was fuming at that. Because although he rates Bruno, although he thinks Bruno's a fantastic player, he's saying, why are you giving players new contracts without coming to me when I haven't started my job? And Ten Hag has said to the board, he's made it very, very strict. No. You're only giving players new contracts that I give you permission to give new contracts to. He said to the board, you're only buying the players I want. In the past, every manager at United in the past, if they were offered Dybala on a free, they would have said yes. Ten Hag said no to Dybala on a free. Because remember, he said he wanted Anthony. And only Anthony. Gas says we need a plumber with the leaks. And let's go for 300 likes, guys. So keep smashing the like button. And Man U, the worst run club than Arsenal. Never thought I'd say that. Man United, and Steve, you're right. Man United are probably, if I'm being honest, the worst run club in the Premier League. We are the worst run club in the Premier League. Because, you know what? Do you know what's funny? Let's actually think about it. Ten Hag is saying, I want to choose who gets new contracts and I'm only going to give them to players that deserve it. Any football club, any competent football club, any normal football club, that is a given. At any normal competent football club with good owners, the manager choosing who gets new contracts and you only get a new contract if you play well is a given. But at Man United, you get a new contract of bumper wages, even if you're shit, even if the manager doesn't want you to. And that is an absolute mess. That is an absolute mess, guys. When you seriously think about it, we're giving out new contracts without the manager's permission. We're giving out new contracts despite players not playing bad. You wonder why Phil Jones is still at this club when he's earning more than 99% of other Premier League players despite doing nothing. You wonder why we can't get rid of Brandon Williams when he's on one of the highest paid fullbacks in the league. You wonder why, Eric Bailly and Alex Telles, they had to go on loan. We couldn't get sales for them because of their wages. You wonder why we can't sell Wan-Bissaka. Ten Hag said to the board, I don't want Wan-Bissaka. I don't want Telles. I don't want Bailly. Ten Hag made it clear. And those 3 players he couldn't get rid of. James Garner, I remember Nuruddin came on the channel and said that he spoke to someone inside the club, and someone inside the club said to Nuruddin that Ten Hag did not want to sell James Garner. Ten Hag wanted to keep and use James Garner, but Ten Hag wanted to sell these players. And all the players that Ten Hag wanted gone haven't actually permanently left the club. But all the players that Ten Hag wanted to keep, like James Garner, the board were like, no, we're selling him. We need to sell someone. He is our most valuable player. And the shocking thing about James Garner is 60 million with James Garner, no buyback clause. Wolves sold Morgan Gibbs-White, who was the same age as James Garner, had a very impressive season in the Championship like James Garner, for 45 million. How are Wolves getting 3 times more for their players than us? Because Man United tax. When you buy a player from Man United, you know you can get them at a cut price because you know Manchester United is shit at selling players. The only good sale we've made in my lifetime is generally Dan James for 30 million. We absolutely rob Leeds and it's brilliant because Leeds are our rivals. But tell me a good sale Man United have made post Sir Alex Ferguson. Tell me a time where you think we've really got our money's worth for a player post Sir Alex Ferguson. Because other than Dan James, I don't think I could name one player. And Sancho, 350k a week. Remember that. Look, Sancho's been really, really poor. And we will get into that. But I do guys want to get to my next story because I think the next story that I'm about to dive into, you guys are going to find very, very interesting. So, obviously said by James Ducker, just in Erik Ten Hag tells his Manchester United players and staff they should feel free to rip into each other at today's derby interest at the Carrington Ground. Ten Hag actually told the players and the staff they could all rip. They could all rip into each other. Ten Hag tells United players and staff they should feel free to rip into each other after the performance in the Manchester derby. Ten Hag then said, let me take a sip of water because this is getting juicy, guys. It was then said, Erik Ten Hag is due to have a meeting today in which the squad and his coaching staff can be free to criticise each other. There was a meeting today, and apparently in today's meeting, according to leaks, according to sources, everyone went off on each other. Apparently, the squad and the coaching staff were all allowed to go into each other after the defeat. And Ten Hag's got this new philosophy at United and this new coaching method. If Man United lose and if Man United get absolutely battered, there's a meeting tomorrow where he lets everyone voice their opinion. Ten Hag is a perfectionist. And because Ten Hag's such a perfectionist, he said to the United players, when we lose, I want to know why we lose. I want every member of staff, I want every player to voice their opinion, go at me, go at each other so we can get to the bottom of why we're losing. Ten Hag said in his post-match interview, I need to get to the bottom of why these players are losing belief. I need to figure out why are these players not believing in themselves. What is going on? So Ten Hag's called a meeting today at Carrington, but all the players and staff have gone off on each other and said how they feel. They've all gone in on each other. They've all given each other criticism that's deserved. And that is absolutely brilliant because Ragnick would give players a holiday. Ollie would give players a holiday. When there was a problem, Ollie didn't want to deal with it and he would just go, I'm not going to talk with it. Ten Hag is saying, no, there's a problem at United and I am going to urge every player and every staff to speak their mind. Tell me what the problem is. Be honest. Go in at each other. Fight with each other. Argue with each other. Figure this out because we need to sort out this problem because Ten Hag knows there's a major mentality issue at United. Newcastle, guys. Newcastle gave City a good game. Newcastle almost beat City at the Etihad, and Newcastle are a good side. We've won 4 games in a row. We have no reason to have a lack of confidence. We had no reason to have a lack of self-belief going into the game. But the players did not show up. The players did not try, and that is unforgivable. We're going into a Man City game where they're all over us. And yes, City are miles ahead of us. Yes, Haaland's this unstoppable machine. But you actually think about it. If Newcastle can give City a game, if other teams have taken points of City, so can United. They're brilliant. But they're beatable, but they're not beatable when your players aren't turning up, your players aren't giving 100%, your players aren't trying, and that's what Ten Hag's saying, and that is why Ten Hag's called an emergency meeting today and ripped into the players. That's why Ten Hag has called the board. Ten Hag called the board yesterday and said, no giving out new contracts. This team is far off. Ten Hag's made it clear to the board, this team is far off. Those 4 wins means nothing. This team is far off. Do not be giving out new contracts. Do not be doing this, and that. Ten Hag's also reminded the board this is a reality check that we need investment in January. And Fabrizio Romano today actually went on the United stand and gave some updates on Cody Gakpo, Jude Bellingham, and potential January signings, which I will be getting to later in this live stream. But I do want to follow up with my next story. So keep smashing the like button, guys. And of course, do subscribe down below if you're new. But here's another massive story, guys. Listen to this. It was said that Cristiano Ronaldo is understood to be ultra professional behind the scenes, despite not getting the move he wanted in the summer. And the reason I want to cover the Ronaldo news is because Roy Keane has come out with some insight about how badly Ronaldo is being treated at United. We know that Ronaldo speaks to Roy Keane. Ronaldo, Rio, we know all those players speak to Roy Keane. And Roy Keane spoke about Ronaldo's treatment outside of United, what we don't see. And this is what Roy Keane said, and I really want to get into this because I get the impression that United are holding Ronaldo hostage. I get the impression that Ten Hag knew Ronaldo was going to be on the bench, was happy to sell Ronaldo, but Joel Glazer wants to keep Ronaldo on the bench and ruin his career. Because this is what Roy Keane said. Roy Keane says, I think United is showing disrespect to Ronaldo. You don't hold on to Ronaldo to sit him on the bench. He's one of the greatest players ever. The idea is he didn't have options to leave Man United is rubbish. He had a good 4 or 5 options. But what Roy Keane has come out and said is that Ronaldo had options to leave. There are reports that he didn't have options to leave, but untrue. Ronaldo, apparently, according to Roy Keane, who speaks to Ronaldo, had 4 or 5 options to leave Manchester United, but the board said no. And now Ronaldo's sitting on the bench. And Roy Keane's gone in because he said Ten Hag's plan was to have Ronaldo on the bench. You can't have Ronaldo sitting on the bench when he has 4 or 5 options to leave the club. You can't force Ronaldo to stay at this club and then put him on the bench. And I think Roy Keane is correct. If Ronaldo wasn't in Ten Hag's plans, we should have sold Ronaldo and brought in Gakpo because that's what Ten Hag wanted to do. But the problem was what Ten Hag wanted to do was not what the Glazers wanted to do. The Glazers didn't want to sell Ronaldo and bring in Gakpo. The Glazers thought, no, we can't let that happen. The Glazers sat there and said, we're not selling Ronaldo and bringing in Gakpo. Ronaldo is going to bring in money and we don't want to spend any more money. We need the Ronaldo commercial side. So even though the Glazers knew that Ronaldo wasn't going to be a starter under Ten Hag, the Glazers kept Ronaldo, kept him on the bench when he had options to leave, despite Ten Hag giving permission for Ronaldo to go. And Roy Keane then said the bigger picture is that Ten Hag is not going to play Ronaldo. It's just going to get ugly as the season goes on, and United show nothing but disrespect to Ronaldo. Do you guys agree with Roy Keane in the comments? Have United been really disrespectful to Ronaldo not playing him? Because I do understand why Martial would start over Ronaldo in Ten Hag's system. But people, and I think United are seeming to forget that last season, Ronaldo scored over 20 goals for Manchester United last season, our worst ever season. When all the players didn't show up, Ronaldo did. When all these players were disgracing themselves week in, week out on the pitch, not showing up or trying, Ronaldo showed up, gave us all, and gave his best, and his teammates let him down. And now this season, we seem to forget that, and he's not even playing. Rashford's playing out of position at striker. Alanga's playing over Ronaldo. Now, I understand that Ronaldo doesn't 100% fit Ten Hag's system, and I don't think Ronaldo's been amazing this season. But if the plan was to sit Ronaldo on the bench, why is he at the club? And Roy Keane then said, people are obsessed with this pressing side of the game. If you put the ball in the right areas, he'll score goals. And I think Roy Keane, again, is right here. He's saying Ronaldo's not playing because he can't run as much as the other strikers. Everyone's obsessed with this pressing. But with Ronaldo, if you put the ball in the box, he scores a goal. You put one good ball cross in there and Ronaldo gets his head on it and it's a goal. And I understand, and in Manchester derby, when we're trying to counter-attack, not playing Ronaldo. But I think in a game like Everton, where they're going to sit back a bit deeper, maybe someone like Ronaldo that we can put balls into the box to could be the best option. And the interesting thing is what Fabrizio Romano has come out and said regarding the Manchester United situation, that Ronaldo could be leaving Manchester United in January. He's been very professional. He's been getting on with it very well. But Ronaldo could be leaving Man United in January because he's just expected to sit on the bench. And going back to what I said, guys, Roy Keane said that Ronaldo had options to leave. The board stopped him leaving. The board would not let him leave. And now they're leaving him on the bench. And reportedly, Ten Hag knew that Ronaldo was going to be a bench player for him, told the board Ronaldo was going to be on the bench. Apparently, Ten Hag actually told the board they could sell Ronaldo, but the board would rather let Ronaldo's career rot and let him on the bench and rekindle the commercial sides of Ronaldo. Now, guys, do you think Ronaldo should be playing or not? Do you agree with Ronaldo being on the bench or not? Because I do like Ronaldo, but I do think right now Martial is probably our best striker to play. But how do you feel about Ronaldo being on the bench? Let me know down below. And I don't think Elanga will get in many more starts over Anthony, either do I, but Elanga is getting in over Ronaldo, and Martial scored 2. CR7 could have done that potentially, and he got 24 goals last season, and it's disrespectful not to play Ronaldo as well. And honestly, I mean, this is a difficult one, and 10 years since Fergie left, and it's getting worse and worse. Glazers need to take their 4 billion and get out, says Gaz. Gaz, you're absolutely spot on, and apparently I'm talking too fast, so I'm 100% going to slow down. And facts, Martial and Rashford are not good enough. You'll see soon Martial got a loan and still couldn't perform. Hype from that loan. I'm willing to give Martial and Rashford this season to prove themselves, but they've got to prove themselves this season as well. And apparently Varane is an actor who always fakes injuries when United are losing and goes off when the going gets tough. No, I think Varane's just injury prone, and Ronaldo can bully small teams. He can. Guys, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and have not already. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I go live every single evening keeping you guys up to date on all the latest news surrounding Manchester United, the transfer front and all of that as well. So I'd really appreciate it if you did hit that subscribe button, of course. But I want to get into the next story here coming out as well. So obviously Roy Keane's gone in on the treatment of Ronaldo, but there's also been stories about Casemiro and why Casemiro's not playing, which we're going to get into. There's also stories about McTominay being a teacher's pet. But this was the interesting story because these are leaks coming out basically going on Scott McTominay. One of Scott McTominay's teammates does not like that he's playing. And one of the leaks coming out here was this. A player at Manchester United last season despairingly described Scott McTominay as a teacher's pet, a reference to his ability to integrate himself with a new manager. And you know what? This is disgraceful. Now, I do believe that Scott McTominay is a teacher's pet because every single manager seems to love him despite constant mediocrity performances. I probably do believe that Scott McTominay is a teacher's pet that sucks up to the manager and all of that as well. But it's just unacceptable that, under a new manager, there's still leaks coming out blaming other teammates. I do not like this. Whether it's Scott McTominay, whether it's about Sancho, it doesn't matter who it's about. The United players are blaming teammates, coming out with leaks, criticising their own teammates, going in on their teammates after a loss, saying McTominay only plays because he's a teacher's pet. And this stuff shouldn't be getting leaked. Whether it's true or not, it shouldn't be getting leaked. Whether you agree with it or not, it shouldn't be getting leaked. And Ten Hag's got a big problem here because the leaks are starting to come out. The cracks are beginning to fold. The leaks are starting to come out. The problems are really beginning to start in the Manchester United dressing room. And this is where Ten Hag's got to knuckle down. He's got to make sure he controls that dressing room. He's got to make sure he can get a grip of that dressing room and get just at least a little bit control, because otherwise the dressing room is just going to go mad. It's going to go mad like it has in the past. And that's what I'm worried about. If one leak comes out, is it going to turn into 2 or 3 leaks? Is it going to turn into players changing on Ten Hag? He's got to get some control. And it's been reported that Ten Hag does have control of the dressing room. It's been reported that the players do look up to Ten Hag, but there's leaks coming out, and no circumstances should that be happening as well. Someone said a 4-1-3-2 would be so far for United with Casemiro as a sole DM as well. And Carl says, Alice, we need a big clean-up. We need a big clean-up. Alice as well as new owners. It's going to get worse. Maybe the scum Glazers will sell. Smash that like button if you are Glazers out, guys. If you want the Glazers to go, smash that like button. And, of course, subscribe down below if you're new as well. And Scott McTominay does black magic with all the managers. He's benching one of the best CDMs in the world who actually won trophies, and James Garnett's better than him. It's crazy that Scott McTominay does seem to start under every single manager. I do think it's an absolute mad one how Scott McTominay's got this magic thing where, every manager seems to love him. But look, I think Scott McTominay's a great personality. I think he's got a great mentality, and I do like Scott McTominay as a player. But I think if you're rewarding players on performance, he's been lucky to get as many performances as he's had at United. But going into the next story, guys, because we've got loads and loads to get through. Well, she says that as the next story just doesn't want to show up. But hopefully this will hopefully this will show up now, if I can find it. So it also came out from this person, from James Ducker, that Erik Ten Hag wants to learn more about the group until the World Cup before making decisions on the future of players, 8 of whom are out of contract at the end of the season, even if the club have an option to extend them for 1 season. So reportedly there's 8 Man United players that could leave this season, and Ten Hag's got the power. And this is the main thing I want to get into. 8 players potentially leaving United this season. In in Fred, in Luke Shaw, in Delot, in Rashford, in Ronaldo, in David De Gea is the main 6. And I think the other 2 are players like Brandon Williams and Tuanzebe that will ultimately be leaving anyway. But Ten Hag's got 8 players out of contract this summer, and as going into the main report, Ten Hag doesn't want any of these players. Even Rashford and Delot have had some good spells to get a new contract. He's made it very clear he's not making any decisions till after the World Cup. He does not care. He's going strict on these players. He wants to wait to the World Cup to make decisions on these players, as he does not want to fall into the same mistake other managers made. And an interesting report here is, and let me finish this report up as well before I get into the next story. But it was also said that insiders claim Manchester United have been bitten by carrying people in the past, and that a desire for hungrier, more motivated players, coupled with the importance of keeping the wage bill down, would drive change. So this report coming out is basically saying that United in the past have been carrying certain players. And is this a dig at Scott McTominay? Had the team been carrying Fred for the last few seasons? And they said that now there's a desire for United to get hungry and motivated players, and also players that are going to keep the wage bill down. And it seems that United's long-term plan is to not have the highest wage bill in the Premier League. I still think it's shambles that we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League, because when you really look at it, and if you really look at the whole situation, Manchester United have got one of the worst squads in the Premier League, one of the worst attitude problems. We are nowhere near top 4. We might scrape top 4 because Ten Hag's a fantastic manager, but we have the highest wage bill in the Premier League. This is the stuff coming out. United, highest wage bill in the Premier League. This is unacceptable. It's also coming out that insiders claim United have been bitten by carrying people. Leaks are coming out saying that United feel that they've been carrying players in the past. I guess we were carrying McFred under Ollie. We have been carrying the poor midfield. Again, versus Man City, the midfield cost us. I went in on David De Gea a lot, but the more and more I watched the game, and I actually watched little bits of the game back, you're thinking, Alice, you're crazy. Why are you watching back that shit? I know. But the more and more I watched back the game, I did see that, we're actually carrying the midfield, and that, one of the big problems at United is they're carrying the midfield. There's a lot of issues with players. There's a lot of issues with player mentality. There's a lot of issues with bad attitudes in the dressing room. And this is what Ten Hag wants to change. Ten Hag wants to completely go and change the culture at Manchester United. He wants to have motivated players. He wants to bring in players that are motivated. He wants to bring in players that are at United to drive change. He doesn't want to bring in players that are going to put the wage bill up and are here for a crazy wage. And I still think it's insane to this day that United have the highest wage bill in the Premier League by miles. If Cristiano Ronaldo's career ends this way, United play a vital role in this disaster. Exactly. Ronaldo could have left and got game time. United kept him even though they knew he was going to be on the bench as well. And how are you going to change the wage bill you pay mercenaries? That's the problem. We want to change the wage bill, but you know what the board are like. They give everybody crazy wages. I think Brandon Williams is on 75k a week, which is absolute madness. And the changing room situation is like a classroom filled with alpha male students behaving like mean gossip girls. You're absolutely spot on. The problem with the dressing room is no one wants to take responsibility. The problem at Manchester United is we have built a dressing room of players that have been too protected under Ollie. And it's good to protect players, but it's this kind of, as someone would say, we're in this new woke society where you can't say anything without being evil or being horrible or being wrong. But in fact, football is about opinion. We need to criticise players. We need to go in on players, and Ollie massively protected his players. And you can see that as a good trait of Ollie. He took the fault and massively protected his players. When Rangnick came in, he exposed the players. Rangnick said, yeah, the players are an issue. Some of the leaks are true. Rangnick said, I can't believe Martial lied. I can't believe Lingard lied. Rangnick went in on Eric Bailly, went in on players. Rangnick wasn't here to protect the players, but Ollie did. And I think with Ollie protecting the players for 3 years, while it's a good thing, I think it's brilliant that managers protect the players, it meant that Ollie took all the criticism. Because when Ollie was here, he was the brunt of the criticism. And then when Ollie left, we realised Ollie might have not helped the problem, but Ollie wasn't the main problem. There were many, many problems at United. And then Maguire gets a stick. Everyone's coming out saying, why is Maguire being improved? Protecting Maguire. It's like, can we not criticise players now? And the big, big problem at Man United and the big, big problem in the Man United dressing room, and this has come out time and time again, is that the players can't take criticism. Ronaldo came in to United and he did an interview nearly a year ago saying when he was at United, people would criticise him and he'd take that in a brilliant way because he'd say, they're the best, they're at the top of the game right now, this is what I need to do to improve. And Ronaldo would take criticism on the chin and build on that. But the problem is this culture of United players, when someone's slagging them off online, they block them. There's actually football players out there that reportedly block Goldbridge for criticising them online. He's not sending them abuse, he's just criticising them. There's a big difference between criticism and abuse. But these players will block people if they criticise them online, block them out. Maguire will then go and do an interview, captain of United. So, the captain of United is the player that's meant to inspire United. He's meant to be the leader. He's meant to rub his mentality off on the rest of the team. If the mentality of the captain of United after your worst ever season was, well, the manager still picked me, so I can't have been that bad, that's the shambles mentality. Putting your fingers in your ear versus Albania, letting leaks come out that it's De Gea and Varane's fault you're bad. And the massive problem in the United dressing room is that no one in that Manchester United dressing room wants to take any sense of responsibility. Whenever things go wrong, they're blaming someone else. Whenever we lose, it was leaks coming out last season, leaks blaming De Gea, leaks blaming Maguire, leaks blaming Rangnick. There wasn't once a player other than David De Gea at United last season that actually said, I was poor, I wasn't good enough, the loss is on me. There's not been a United player that has ever seemed to take responsibility for a loss other than De Gea. And De Gea is one of the only United players in that squad with a Premier League winners medal. So that says a lot. And what annoys me is De Gea and Ronaldo have won Premier Leagues. Casemiro's won trophies. Varane's won trophies. They're the four players with the best and most elite mentality at Manchester United. They're the players that the players should be following. You need to work hard and train like these players if you want to win trophies. You need to have the mentality of these players that you want to win trophies. But our players have got an ego complex. Ollie basically bummed up Rashford, Maguire, Bruno, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, all these players too much, playing them week in, week out, bum them up way too much. That when they get a bit of criticism now, they can't deal with it. And that is a problem because this squad seems to be like immune to criticism as well. Why is this all happening at our club? Honestly, our club is an absolute mess. I don't get what all the managers want to give I don't get why all the managers don't want to give Van der Beek a run in the team. We can't get any worse right now with Fernandes playing trash. It's beyond me why Donny isn't playing, it says Jill Wan. And you're absolutely right. I agree with you here, Wan. For me, it's absolutely insane that Donny van der Beek can't seem to get a run in this Manchester United side. I think it's absolutely insane. I do feel incredibly sorry for Donny van der Beek, if I'm being honest, because this United side right now is crap. This is United side lost 6-3 to City. And I could understand in the sense that Donny wasn't playing because we'd won 4 games in a row and then he got injured. He couldn't play in the Europa League. But I don't get why Donny's not getting used or not getting mentioned. And there was a report that came out today that actually said that Ten Hag doesn't rate Donny van der Beek. And this report really concerned me. This big, big report came out today, guys, that Ten Hag doesn't rate Donny van der Beek, doesn't think he's got what it takes to be in the Premier League. And I hope that's wrong. because we can't keep going with this Bruno, Eriksen, McTominay midfield three. We need to change up, and we need to see Donny van de Beek, because I believe there's a good player in Donny van de Beek, and reportedly Ten Hag doesn't even want to give Donny a chance now, which is the shock of the century, because we thought Ten Hag liked Donny, and I don't know what Donny does in training. I don't know how bad he's in training, but the reports coming out that Donny is going to be sold. United don't have any plans for Donny, even Ten Hag. And that upsets me, because I don't think Donny's ever been given a chance. And I hope that Donny does get given a chance and he does take that chance. But the rumours and reports coming out is that Donny and De Gea are going to be sold in the summer, and Maguire could also leave with King Min-jae coming in as his replacement. And it really upsets me that the board want to sell Donny. It really upsets me, that Donny might be sold, because I don't think he's got a chance. And if Donny has a run of 5-6 games under Ten Hag, has a chance and he's crap, it's fine. Sell Donny van de Beek. If Donny generally has a run of games and he's absolutely crap for Manchester United, that's fine by me. Go sell Donny van de Beek. But if we're giving Donny, if we're not giving Donny even a chance, a run of games, despite the form of Bruno and McTominay, that's unacceptable. Ten Hag needs to play Donny. He needs to give Donny a chance, and I really hope he does, because I'm very upset by seeing the lack of game time Donny's getting, and I'm very upset by the news that came out today on the Sky Sports that Ten Hag doesn't rate Donny van de Beek, doesn't plan to use Donny van de Beek, and actually plans to sell Donny van de Beek, because that really does upset me. Guys, if you're watching right now, please do subscribe. It's absolutely free to subscribe to Alice Talks Football. And remember, I go live every single evening on the channels. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more, make sure you subscribe. We do match previews, match watch-alongs, match reactions, and news update shows. We're 5 subscribers away from 51,450 subs. 3 to subscribe, so do that. But I'm going to get into the next story as well. But Daniel said, I can see Donny going because he's too good to be sat on the bench. And Fabrizio Romano did speak about Donny van de Beek today on top of Ronaldo. So Fabrizio Romano obviously said that he wouldn't be surprised if Ronaldo seeks a January move if things continue. But Fabrizio Romano did speak about Donny leaving Manchester United, and he said if Donny continues to be out of the team, then January move away will not be a surprise. If Donny's still out of the team in January, he will be looking for a move away under Ten Hag. And I will say this, let me just take a quick swig. United are playing a game pretty much every 3 days from now on. We're playing a game pretty much every 3 days from now on. So I will say this. I think with Donny van de Beek, he will get game time. I think there's reports that Ten Hag doesn't rate Van de Beek that's come out today. There's reports that Ten Hag plans to sell Van de Beek that's come out today. There's reports that Ten Hag is not happy with him. But I do think he'll get game time, because he's the only player we have in the squad that can do the role that Eriksen and Bruno can do. And if Eriksen and Bruno are playing week in, week out, that's going to do no good for their fitness. Whereas you need a player like Donny van de Beek to come in so you can rest those players. And Eriksen, as I said, Eriksen and Bruno will need to be rested. And Fred, we gave Fred a go in that role. We couldn't do it. I think Donny will need to play. I think Donny will be given a chance, and I hope Donny takes that chance. But if Donny's not given a chance, I think Donny will go in January, which will be really, really sad. And I don't want that to happen in the slightest. And I think a lot of you guys don't as well. Guys, let's go for 300 likes. Please smash that like button. Fabrizio Romano did talk about Bellingham as well. I think he chose another rival like Haaland, Nunes, others did. Yeah, Romano did speak about Bellingham, Liverpool is still favourites to sign Jude Bellingham as well. It's rubbish. Donny's a product of Ten Hag. He's been injured, and the only player that understands Ten Hag's system, it's like paper talk. And you make a good point here. I do think the reports that Ten Hag doesn't rate Donny and Ten Hag wants Donny out could potentially be paper, just paper reports, paper crap, like you're saying, because obviously, Donny and Ten Hag, I thought had a good relationship, and we'll have to wait and see though as well. But I want to get into the next story. We have got transfer news to get into, but I want to get into some of the leaks that have come out, but also Ten Hag's new strict rules. Guys, Ten Hag has come out and he's enforced some strict rules down on the United players here. So let me get this up and let me share this with you guys. So the first report that came out was just in. Erik Ten Hag has told Manchester United's hierarchy not to hand out any new contracts until he determines who warrants them. So we spoke about this at the beginning of the video. Ten Hag's demanded that the hierarchy do not hand out any new contracts until he chooses who warrants them. James Ducker also said this isn't actually a reaction of yesterday's defeat, that Ten Hag wants to create a culture where contracts are harder to come by at United. Ten Hag wants to change the United culture, wants a culture where you've got to fight for a contract. If you want a contract at Man United, you've got to fight for it. You've got to earn that contract, which is what exactly should be happening in the first place. But this was the interesting thing, as we spoke about and touched upon at the beginning of the live stream here, was this report that's just come out here. saying that under Ed Woodward, Manchester United were often accused of stockpiling players and awarding new long-term deals that did not feel merited. Erik Ten Hag wants to move away from that culture and is keen to ensure players do not fall in the comfort zone. And as I said, I love this. This is, I think the big problem with the United players is they are in the comfort zone. Look at Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw was in the comfort zone for multiple years under Ollie, and he had this brilliant season, but I think he was too comfortable. He was too much in the comfort zone. He'd have no pressure because Tellers was crap, and he declined. Look, Malassia's come and took Luke Shaw's place, and all of a sudden Luke Shaw's gone to the gym and he's had a complete transformation. Ten Hag saying that a lot of United players are too comfortable. Things need to change. A lot of these players are too comfortable. And this is why the likes of Maguire got dropped. This is why the likes of Ronaldo got dropped, because this was actually Ten Hag's way of trying to send a message. His way of sending a message, we lost the game, no one's undroppable. Too many players were very comfortable under Ollie and Rangnick because it didn't matter if we win, lost or draw. They knew they were going to play the next match, no matter if they were crap or not. They knew that they could get a new long-term contract because, the board liked them. But now it's very clear that, Ten Hag say you're not playing just because you're a favourite. You're not playing because you've won a few games. You're playing because you deserve to play. And he said you won't get a new contract unless you deserve a new contract. And I really do respect Ten Hag for that. It was also said, and this was an interesting, actually, I really want to get this on the screen. This was a really good report here. But let's get into James Ducker's next story, guys, where James Ducker, reportedly, he said, a senior Manchester United source had told James Ducker this. Erik Ten Hag is still in that phase of let's see how people/players are, let's see what they're up to and how they adjust, how they handle the pressure and how they handle not being picked and how they deal with different challenges. This is what senior sources close to Ten Hag are saying right now. That Ten Hag is in that phase of we've got to see what happens with the players, we've got to see how they deal with things. And I take this as, he wants to know how players adjust, he wants to know how players handle pressure, and he wants to know how players respond to not being picked. I take this as Ten Hag wanting to learn the player mentality. I take this as a massive thing. I think Ten Hag wants to learn his players' mentality. And this is what the inside source is suggesting. He can see how well the players do on the pitch, but he wants to see how well the players handle this, how well they pick themselves up. And as I said at the beginning of the video, one thing Erik Ten Hag is absolutely massive on is mentality. He wants to create a team with a winning mentality. He wants to create a team of winners with a fighting spirit, an absolute top mentality. And it's been said that Ten Hag is looking at the United players, looking at the people at United. He's going to give it time. He's going to play it out, but he wants to see how they adjust. He wants to see how they handle pressure. He wants to see how they handle not being picked through a few games. He wants to look at the United players' mentality, judge the United players' mentality. And you've got to big up Ten Hag for that. You've got to respect Ten Hag for that. Because he's not going to reward any new contracts to players with a poor mentality. Ten Hag says, mentality is just as big as ability. You can be one of the best players in the world, but if your head's not focused, if you don't have the right mentality, if you're not willing to give 100%, there's no point playing for United. And he wants to see, do these players give 100%? Which of these players care? Which of these players can I trust? How's Luke Shaw going to respond to not being picked? How is Casemiro going to respond to not being picked? How are they going to deal with this? How are they going to handle the pressure? And right now, a lot of the players are crumbling. Maguire seems to be crumbling at the fact he's not been picked because he's making up excuses. We can't seem to handle the pressure because as soon as we go 1-0 down, we might as well go 2-3, 4-0 down. I hate how as soon as we go 1-0 down, it's like the game is lost. United lose the game as soon as they go 1-0 down. They almost forget the game, they lose grip of the game, and for me, that is a massive mess as well. Guys, I just want to say we're 5 subscribers away from 51.5k, so please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, please do subscribe. Juan said Anthony's been crap so far and he is being used. How come no one is giving Donny a chance? This should stop immediately, even if Sancho has been given a run in the team. Why is Donny different? I think because McTominay and Donny's position and Eriksen have been good before today's game and Donny has been injured. But I do agree Donny does deserve a chance to play. I wouldn't say Anthony's been crap, but I'd say Anthony hasn't been amazing, but he was very good the second half of the last game. And if any United fans think they can take advantage of Ten Hag, they better think again to Showcart Khan. You're absolutely spot on. Ten Hag's not letting players take advantage of him. Ten Hag's made it very clear he's the man in the dressing room. He's the man with control, and that's what we've got to do as well. And don't blame Malassi, who's only 22, but Malassi is young, he's got room for improvement, but I'm not going to go in on Malassi, but I don't think he was particularly good. I think the midfield and the attack let us down in the sense of Sancho and Anthony didn't track back or protect their fullbacks. The midfield didn't protect the defence, and although we conceded 6 goals, I don't actually look at Martinez or Lindelof or Varane and think they were particularly one of the worst players, surprisingly as well. Garnacho should be loaned to Ajax or Dortmund. He's got that flair, tough mindset, and winning attitude. I agree that Garnacho should have a loan. You know what? I'll say this. I think Amad Diallo should have been loaned to Ajax or Dortmund. I think he would have thrived there in that system. I think we're giving Amad Diallo the wrong loans. We spent 38 million on this guy, and he can't even get in the Sunderland team as well. See how recent United being crap players' career. Don't expect young talents choosing United. United have been crap for so long, and this will affect us long term. Haaland won't choose United over City because City have been miles ahead of us for 10 years. We want Jude Bellingham. Ten Hag's desperate for Jude Bellingham, and Jude Bellingham is what Ten Hag wants to make one of his first signings. You've got to remember this. Ten Hag wants to go all in for Jude Bellingham, make him one of his first signings. But Ten Hag probably won't get Jude Bellingham because of competition from rivals, because United have been so poor. When Ten Hag goes in for Jude Bellingham, when Ten Hag's going, I want Jude Bellingham, do you think Ten Hag's going to get Jude Bellingham? Honestly, guys, probably not. He's probably going to go to Liverpool or City if they're going from, or Real Madrid. Because why would you go to a United side that's not getting top 4, that's been inconsistent for years? Unless we get top 4 this season, it really looks like Ten Hag's building things, and Ten Hag's a manager that's well known. I don't see us getting Bellingham, who reportedly is our first choice summer transfer target. I will get into the Bellingham news in a second as well. Our manager is good as his players, and currently we have a shit team, but every Man United fan wants me to respect Ten Hag. I respect Ten Hag. You've got to remember, you might not rate Ten Hag. You might be Ten Hag out. But this is the way I look at it, and this is the way I always look at things. Ten Hag's not a miracle worker. Look at the Manchester United side he was given to take over. How can you expect Ten Hag to change that Manchester United side? How can you, in a few games? It's going to take years. Majority of the players still at Man United were the majority of the players responsible for our worst ever season in Premier League history, our worst ever defensive record in Premier League history. And all we do is change the manager and bring 3-4 new signings in. We win a few games, and I think we thought, everything's going to be back to normal. We all thought, okay, everything's going to be back to normal. This is looking good. This is looking good. No, it's not looking good. It's not looking good in the slightest, guys. This is the big problem. Because we're just letting. I forgot what I was saying now. I forgot what was I even saying. The girl's gone off in the thing. But yeah, as I was saying, this is a major setback we move. You can't blame Ten Hag. He's got to basically completely turn around this team that was left in this state after Ollie. And it's not going to happen overnight. This was a major setback. This was a reminder rumours still needed for improvement. This was a reminder Manchester United still need investment. But also, you've got to take this as a positive thing. You've got to take this as, okay, let's look at the wider picture. Let's look at the facts and figures around this. It just proves Ten Hag needs backing, and we've got to remember this is a long process. Ten Hag wasn't going to come in and win the league in his first season. We knew that we will lose, and we need to bring in significant investment as well. If Erik Ten Hag wants to see our players handle pressure, yesterday's derby was a massacre of pressure, absolutely, as well. And I don't think Ten Hag knew what he was walking into when he joined this club, says Gaz. And I think you make a point. When Ten Hag joined Man United, he actually interviewed them. They had an interview with Ten Hag, and he said to United, I'm only going to join Manchester United if, and he left, and his if was a big list of things. Ten Hag said, I'm only going to join Manchester United if you give me control in the transfers. You let me choose who we buy and sell. Ten Hag said, I'm only going to join Manchester United if you let me work with the youth. And Ten Hag said, I'm only going to join Manchester United if you let me have full control of the contracts. Now, Ten Hag's had mostly control of the transfer. I don't think Casemiro was the Ten Hag transfer. Ten Hag has had control of the contracts so far. He's not let United hand out any new contracts. And Ten Hag did want the United job. But I think, as I said, Ten Hag fell for it as well. The board was saying, look, we've got rid of Judge, we've got rid of Woodward. This is Arnold and Murta. This is a new era. This is a new Ten Hag. We got Ragnick in the consultancy role and all of that. We get Ten Hag in, and it looks positive. It looks really positive when we get Ten Hag in. And Ten Hag comes in with these brutal rules saying, I want this, this, and this. And then in the transfer window, they absolutely let Ten Hag down. And that is the board, that is the absolute board. The biggest letdowns ever as well. Guys, please do smash that like button if you have not already. Can we go for 300 likes? We've got over 300 people watching. Can we see if we can hit 300 likes on the video? And of course, subscribe down below if you are new. Daniel says, Ollie Ragnick and Ten Hag got all frauds. Look at their CV, Norway League, German Cup and Holland League. What the hell? I don't think Ten Hag's a fraud. I fully back Ten Hag, and I disagree with you on that. I think, how can Daniel, I'm going to be honest, how can you expect Ten Hag to go and win 10, 11 games in a row with this side? You know, I don't get why people are Ten Hag out. He's got to take over and work with one of the worst United sides in history, a United side that's incredibly poor. It's his job to try and change and transfer that team. You know, and he can't do that overnight. He's got to have a season or two to do it. He wasn't fully backed in the summer. He hasn't got all his players in. Ten Hag's not even playing Ten Hag ball yet because he hasn't got the players to do that. So I think to call Ten Hag a fraud, I personally disagree with that. You know, because he's not even playing Ten Hag ball. He knows what he wants, but he can't get what he wants as well. Keep subscribing and smashing the like button as well. Erik Ten Hag has to prove. So far, he won't give some players game time because he doesn't trust them. Instead of giving some players a run in the Europa League, keeps using the senior players. Hopefully, with the Europa League game coming up, and with the Europa League game only being against that Ammonia side, which, to be fair, I don't think anyone's heard of, we do see a run of games given to the younger players. I can see Man United doing a few changes for the Ammonia side because, again, it's not a very good side. It's a game we should win. I could see maybe Garnacho getting some minutes, maybe Charlie McNeil getting some minutes. But again, at the end of the day, we still need to win the game. So I think Ten Hag will go relatively strong, but he won't go with his strongest lineup for that game, if that does make sense to you guys as well. Make money, then become a heavyweight. That's why they're failing to run and pass at the moment as well. And Optimus says, fun fact, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, FC Barcelona, Milan all wanted Johnny, but Edwin van der Sar only accepted the Man United proposal due to the past connection. I'm guessing he's gutted as well. If that's true, then that's just mad. We've ruined Donny's career, and I hate that as well. But guys, keep smashing the like buttons if you have not already as well. And of course, subscribe down below as if you're new. And of course, as Showcott said, United are winning games. You know, we are losing games, but we're not playing Ten Hag system yet. The sad thing is, because the Glazers didn't fully back the Glazers, and because they didn't get Frankie de Jong, which probably isn't the Glazers' fault now long term, you know, Ten Hag doesn't have all the players in to play Ten Hag ball. You know, the football Manchester United are playing is incredibly different to the football Ten Hag was playing at Ajax. Ten Hag's a young attacking manager with an attacking philosophy, but he can't go all out there and play attacking football. And the sad reason he can't do that is because we will concede goals. We'll concede 4 to Brentford. When we went and attacked Man City because we went 1-0 down, it came to bite us in the back. Man United are a team that they need to score a counter-attack goal and then be leading the game. And, you know, Pep Guardiola knew this and he didn't let this happen. But Erik Ten Hag, yeah, he got his tactics wrong, and he needs to completely change that as well. Man U needs a new goalkeeper. David De Gea seems to be too flat-footed, just stands and watches the ball go into the net. Let me know, De Gea, this time for new blood, plus Maguire and Glazers. For me, Glazers have got to go more than anyone else. Glazers have just got to get out of the club. Harry Maguire, for me, I think will leave. As Samuel Lucca said, Harry Maguire is waving up his options. Harry Maguire is considering his future options. Harry Maguire is having a think about what he wants to do next in his career. Maguire is considering leaving Manchester United. Donny's reportedly going to be kicked out as well. De Gea is reportedly going to be kicked out as well. I do think, you know, De Gea is starting to cause issues. Ten Hag wants to play possession football on the ball, and De Gea can't do that. And we're having to play such a high line because of De Gea. And I do think De Gea will be a player, a big name, and probably the biggest name to leave Manchester United this summer as well. And Mr. said, I've been watching Manchester United for over 25 years, and I can't see us moving into the recovery phase under Ten Hag. He is precisely the kind of manager we need. Ten Hag is a boss. Exactly. But hopefully he does deal with that as well. And Daniel said it's not a coincidence the last time a Man United manager won something was during Mourinho. All the managers after Mourinho had no balls, says Daniel as well. And there are 2 starting players in the Man U team, David De Gea and Penaldo, and the dream will stop being a top 4. And there are 2 centre players in the United team, Devon Attender and dreaming to be on top 4. I'm not sure what you mean by that as well, but if he doesn't have the players to play Ten Hag, who do we sell? Martinez, Varane, Malacia, Anthony Sancho. I mean, he has those players. What I'm saying is he doesn't have all the players he wants them to play, specifically Ten Hag ball. Guys, I want to get into the next story here, though, as well. We've got more leaks that came out of the dressing room, and this was leaks that came out of the dressing room 2 weeks ago, just before the Man City defeat. These were the leaks that came out. So let me get them up on the screen here. So it was said here, a source close to the dressing room has said the manager is seen as genuine and fundamentally decent person, but he's tough, serious, drill-driven, detail-orientated and unforgiving of the lack of professionalism and sloppy lack of effort. So this has come out from James Ducker saying that sources at Manchester United do believe in Ten Hag. They do believe he's he's a decent person. They do believe he's a good manager. But they said Ten Hag's sessions at United are tough, serious and driven. He said he's unforgiving of lack of professionalism. He's unforgiving of sloppiness. If you're not professional, Ten Hag cannot forgive that. Ten Hag is so obsessed with you've got to give 100% in training. That's what Ten Hag's obsessed with. But also Ten Hag's apparently tough, serious and driven in training. And we know from Bruno, we know from players that have spoken out, Ten Hag's training sessions are really affecting United squad. They're a lot harder knowledge. Players have come out and said that, and I think now we've lost that game to Man City. Now we've got that reality check. I wouldn't even be surprised if I saw Ten Hag laying in on people. Guys, we've got over 350 people watching. So if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Please do subscribe to Latest Talk Football, because I go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. So do make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and of course share the video. We're getting into some more leaks going around at Manchester United as well. And an interesting leak that came out, I think you guys will find this interesting, is that Tyrone Malacia is one of the last people to leave Carrington every single day. They spoke up Malacia, how he's always in the gym, how he's always the last to leave. It was also said that Lisandro Martinez is very vocal and positive in the Manchester United dressing room, who straddles all the different groups and interacts with them readily with the young academy players. And this is what I want to get up on the screen here. This is the next story, which I want to get up all over the screen here for you guys to look at. If I can find it here. And here it is. Lisandro Martinez is very vocal and positive voice in the Manchester United dressing room, who straddles all the different groups and interacts rapidly together. Now, what I take from this report is he's mentioned all the different groups. It's clear that there's still groups in the dressing room. There's clear this dressing room divide between, and I know that the cause of the dressing room divide, a bit of it is between Ronaldo and Maguire and who should be captain. But Lisandro Martinez isn't taking teams. Lisandro Martinez has come in and he wants to stop the dressing room divide, and he also wants to come in and work with the young players. And the young players actually came out and said that Varane, Martinez, Ronaldo, they all come here and they all work with the young players and they all try and help the young players improve. And that you've got to give respect to our wingers for doing that. They go out of their way to try and help the young players at United, and my respect for them is there. But I also think that Sandro Martinez is displaying very good captain material as well. Very vocal, very positive voice in the Man United dressing room. So yeah, guys, please do subscribe and of course share the video as well. Alice is almost falling asleep. So if I said something that made sense, I really apologise. I just went off in a little bit of a sleep bubble as well. But Ten Hag needs a clear out. He absolutely does. And Erik Ten Hag has his work cut out for him, exactly. And Man United want to sign fake expensive players, so they don't have to sign serious player. They just want to mention a player and fall to buy. Look at Akanji, Harlow, and all of those. Gakpo, Nunes. This is the thing. I am going to get into the transfer news. So hopefully I didn't go off on a tangent there because I was about to fall asleep. But for me, Lisandro's got to be the next captain as well. And Ten Hag did know because Van Gaal warned him. True. And people will bring up his height. I like it. But people bring up his height like it's all his fault that United lost to City. Exactly. It was not his fault at all we lost to City. Lisandro Martinez was in fact one of the better players on the pitch despite conceding 6 goals. But Lisandro Martinez would be a good leader, which I want to get into my next story. I want to get into the transfer news and all of that. So Fabrizio Romano went on the United Stand YouTube channel today, and Fabrizio Romano came out and said some really interesting things on the United Stand YouTube channel today. The first thing Fabrizio Romano said is that Manchester United will definitely try and sign Jude Bellingham next summer and will have talks with the players' side. So Fabrizio Romano, Tier 1 sources confirmed that United are definitely going to go in for Jude Bellingham next summer as well. Fabrizio Romano also said on the United Stand today, if Donny continues to be out of the team, then the January move will not be a surprise. And then Fabrizio Romano spoke again about Jude Bellingham, again about the strong links of Jude Bellingham to Manchester United. And I feel like this isn't going to pace right because it never does. But it did. That Manchester United will definitely try and sign Jude Bellingham next summer. He said that we will have talks with the players' side. However, with interest from other clubs, it's a difficult one to do. So Romano again said and confirmed Man United will 100% be in for Jude Bellingham. Man United will 100% go in for Jude Bellingham. We will, but he said it. I'm not just because United are 100% going in for Jude Bellingham doesn't mean it's going to happen. Just because we're 100% in for Bellingham, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And that's true. There's a lot of competition for Bellingham. You know, I'm sure that United wanted Erling Haaland, but we all knew it might not happen. And also, United do have personal terms agreed with Cody Gakpo. But Romano said, obviously, will United go for them in January or not? So we also want to talk about Cody Gakpo, and I think if we sign someone in January, I think we'll sign Cody Gakpo. And Romano again went on the United stand today and did speak about Cody Gakpo to United, which we are going to get up on the screen now. And Fabrizio Romano did say regarding Cody Gakpo to Manchester United that he said Cody Gakpo is one of the potential options for the January transfer window. However, nothing has been decided yet. So I think if United do sign someone in January, it could very likely be Cody Gakpo, especially with Romano saying he wouldn't be shocked if Ronaldo left United. Fabrizio Romano came out and said he wouldn't be shocked if Ronaldo left Man United in January unless his situation changes. And now Gakpo is what Romano's saying is potentially a January deal. So I think summer, I get the impression from Romano is 100% confirmed. United will go all in for Jude Bellingham. And I think in January we will go in for Cody Gakpo. But I think a lot of that could depend on injuries and Ronaldo's future as well. Fabrizio Romano then spoke about Casemiro and why Casemiro is not playing for United. And this is what Romano had to say on Casemiro not playing for United. Fabrizio Romano said that Casemiro is likely to start more games this month. Erik Ten Hag hasn't done so yet, as he wants him to get used to his style of play. And Romano is saying the reason that Casemiro is not playing yet is because he didn't have pre-season. He wants him to get used to his style of play. I guess Martinez, Eriksen, and Anthony all go straight in because they know Ten Hag. They know his style of play. Potentially that's why, and maybe Casemiro, like Malassi, doesn't go in right away because they've got to learn a style of play. And one more really interesting thing that Fabrizio Romano said today on the United stand was actually about Marcus Rashford. And Erik Ten Hag's message from day one to the United board was that he wanted Marcus Rashford to be the star of his team and a key player for the present and the future. Ten Hag regards Rashford as untouchable. And whether you like Rashford or not, this is a really, really good report. Because if Ten Hag can get Rashford's confidence back, if Ten Hag really gets behind Marcus Rashford, really backs Marcus Rashford, really is pro Marcus Rashford, pro getting Marcus Rashford back to his best, that's all we can hope for at Manchester United. All we can hope for, whether you like Rashford, whether you like Luke Shaw, whether you like the Maguires at Man United, it doesn't matter whether you like them or not. All we can hope for is that Ten Hag pushes and gets these players back to his best. So Romano's saying that Casemiro will be important. Romano's saying that Rashford is important for Ten Hag. Romano's saying we will 100% go in for Jude Bellingham. Romano's saying that Ronaldo and Donny could potentially leave Man United in January. And Romano did say that Cody Gakpo is United's option in the January transfer window, say people leave. Now, the last report I want to get into, again, has come out from James Ducker, who's been going absolutely crazy with the Manchester United reports. But as Diego says, guys, we're on 200 likes. Let's go for 300 likes. There's 300 people watching. 100 of you haven't hit this like button. So please do. It's completely free. Keep smashing the like button, guys. And of course, please do go ahead and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more, make sure you're subscribed as well. But someone said Nkunku is going to Chelsea, isn't he? United messed up on him. Got to get Oshmane. Now I agree. United should go out for Oshmane. Gakpo and Nkunku going to Chelsea. I don't think Gakpo is going to Chelsea. I think Gakpo is United bound as well. But let's get into the next story again that's come out from James Ducker. And this is a very good, very interesting story again here from James Ducker, saying a source close to the dressing room has said that the manager is seen as genuine and fundamentally a decent person, but he's tough, serious, driven, detail-orientated and unforgiving of unprofessional sloppiness or lack of effort. So this was a report coming out from players, a source close to the dressing room saying that the players do like Ten Hag, they do buy into Ten Hag, they do think Ten Hag's genuine, and they do think he's a decent person, but the players do find Ten Hag tough, serious, driven, detail and orientated and unforgiving of lack of professionalism. And this is a really good report from James Ducker, because he's basically confirmed that Ten Hag does not, all the reports in the past are true. If you don't give 100% under Ten Hag, he won't forgive you. If you aren't giving 100%, he won't forgive you. Ten Hag is nice. He's genuine to the players. He will back his players. He comes out publicly and will say positive things about Maguire, say positive things about Ronaldo, who will back all his players publicly. He will say all these positive things, but behind it, he is tough on the players. He is serious on the players, and he's unforgiving of unprofessionalism, sloppiness, or lack of effort, because he wants to create and instill a winning mentality at United. He wants to get all the players back to their best as well. But they are far off from this on the pitch, but sometimes Rashford and Antony remind me of York and Cole, but they both need to be playing consistently, stringing matches without getting injured. That's a strange comparison, but they potentially have the potential to be up there with those players as well. But look, guys, I'm going to wrap up today's live stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into today's live stream. Please do smash the like on the video, and of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. I will be live tomorrow night with another news show, another transfer news update, more news coming surrounding United. So make sure you're subscribed if you want to stay up to date with all the latest news. We're live every single evening this week, watch-alongs, match previews, match reactions, all the latest on United. And we've got a video coming out tomorrow during the day, an update on United and the behind the scenes. So smash a like, subscribe. Thanks everyone for tuning into this video. Please do like and subscribe on the way out. It's completely free. See you next time. Big up everyone. Bye.